It's 5:30 on Monday morning, and I was hoping to sleep a little later, but I think I'm awake now. Cars are going by. Some birds started up, and somebody started cooking bacon, so now I'm getting hungry, so I think I'm going to have to get up and get going. But since this is supposed to be a video journal, and I got a little bit of time, and I'm not just trying to run and point the camera. I've got a couple of thoughts on that trip so far. Nothing important or deep, just a couple of things I'd like to remember. And one I'd like to forget. So yesterday, I had breakfast at the Robin Hood diner, and it was an egg sandwich, and it was very good. And it had a interesting flavor that I'd never tasted before. And I don't know what it was. It was either in the sausage or it was in the hot sauce, because the rest of the sandwich was just toast and an egg and cheese, and I had them fry up some onions and mushrooms for me. Nothing in there could have been a funny flavor, but it was either in the sausage or in the hot sauce I used, I'm guessing. And it was like a smoky flavor, and I liked it. It was interesting and it was good, and the aftertaste lingered and made me want another sandwich for about 2 hours. And after that, it lingered and made me wish it would go away. And even after lunch, and even at the end of the day, I could still taste this aftertaste all day long, or smell it, at least. And I couldn't get rid of it. Finally get rid of it after my shower. I showered and brushed my teeth and used mouthwash, and finally it went away. But it lingered well beyond the point that it had become unpleasant and undesirable, and I don't know what that flavor was. And it was funny, because for the first couple hours I was thinking, geez, I'll have to go back to that place and get another sandwich. But now I'm thinking, nah, I'm probably not ever going to go to that place again, just in case it was, something from the grill or something. I don't know. It was weird. So I'm at changing the subject here. I'm at a state park right now. And the state parks are different than private campgrounds in a couple of ways. State parks are kind of nice because you usually know what you're going to get. You're going to get a drive-up site, and this is just my experience in, now having stayed in a Pennsylvania state park. I've stayed in plenty of New Hampshire state parks. I've stayed in national forest parks, and they're all usually, for the most part, you're going to have well manicured sites, like gravel surfaces that are very flat. Very often there'll be either an attendant to sell firewood and to rake up the sites and clean the sites when people leave. Sometimes if there's not an attendant, there'll be wood on an honor system. 9 out of 10 times they'll be running water, though sometimes, and even now, the water doesn't work. I was told once they were on something called a gravity well. I don't know what that is, but apparently it can run out of pressure. And I've had that happen to me once before at a at one of my favorite places to stay that usually has water. One time it was just out. The attendant told me it was a gravity well and it can run out of pressure. So that I don't know what that is, but it can happen. And the thing about state parks is they tend to be, they can be pricier. They can cost more. This place, in my opinion, is very expensive. $35 a night for a tent site. The other thing that state parks still usually have at least a pit latrine toilet. But a lot of state parks will have, flush toilets, will have showers. And will have a lot of car campers. Hiking campers usually start at state parks or start at places like that and camp remotely, so you don't see a lot of them. In private parks, you can get real lucky. You can get cheap campsites that are very good, have amenities. Howell's camping area in Vermont, I think he charged me $20 last time I stayed there. First time I stayed there, he charged me 10. And wood was cheap. The Hideaway Camp, when he had showers, and he has paid washing machines, like coin-op washing machines, so that's nice. The Hideaway Campground where I stayed yesterday, it was $10 for a tent site, and 10 for a bundle of wood, a big bundle of wood. It was not a small one. And I wound up using only like 4 sticks, so he got most of that back anyway. And he's a super nice guy, so that doesn't hurt my feelings to leave wood behind either. But sometimes you get campgrounds that are, if you're close to the city, you get very noisy people. You get people who do not know how to respect quiet hours or just have kids running around. Some campgrounds will have a swimming pool. That's a good indication that there'll be a lot of kids. I don't mind kids, but some people do. And, sometimes it can be a bit much. The campgrounds that I really don't care for are the ones that are 90 to 95% cater to RVs, and RVs that pay a yearly fee, which that's not fair, because a lot of private campgrounds have RVs that'll pay a yearly fee. A lot of private campgrounds have people that live there in their RV full time, even through the winter, and that's not a problem. Those are usually actually pretty good campgrounds. Those people are usually pretty good to camp by. They respect your site, your stuff, the quiet hours. It's all right. But there's like big campgrounds that are almost just like people go there to party. And we used to go and party at campgrounds when we were kids too. We just needed a place to have a fire and do some drinking. And that's okay. But the ones that are just full of campers and people partying, it's a crowd. I don't like a crowd. I wouldn't be camping if I liked crowds. And those are the ones that I don't like, and they're hard to get around. Some areas seem to have only those. One of my favorite places to ride is the sort of valley that's like west of Albany, New York, maybe southwest. It's between the Catskill Mountains and the Adirondack Mountains, and it's just got some really fun curvy roads. I've gone there and been lost for hours and hours, and I love being lost. And I love good roads, and they're just really nicely manicured roads. But all the campgrounds right there are the big camper variety, and I describe it to people as they're full of golf carts with Christmas lights on them, because that's what you see a lot. You see that people will just jack up a golf cart on big wheels and big suspension, and they'll put Christmas lights all over it, and they'll drive around, just drinking, two couples maybe, or a couple drinking and have their kids on the back, and it's just not my scene. I don't care for it, and those ones tend to be very expensive. I stayed at one of those last year. I had I couldn't find any other place, and it was like $45 for a tent site with no picnic table, no hookups, no nothing. I mean, not that I usually need hookups, but it's nice to have a little bit of running water if you don't wash your hands, but it's not necessary. Got other ways to clean my hands. But a picnic table, most sites have a picnic table. Very rarely do you find a campsite without a picnic table. And that one didn't have one, and $45 for a site I thought was highway robbery, as they say. There was another place that my buddy and I stayed last year, and the guy charged us per tent instead of per site, and I thought that was egregious. And it wasn't too expensive. If I had stayed there alone, $20, $22. I had a private campground. It was a nice campground for that price. It was very nice for that price, actually. Showers, had washing machines that you paid for on the honor system. If he had been open, I believe he had food. Not the campground was open. If the lodge was open, I'm pretty sure he had food. It was nice. It was a nice campground, and it was I think it was $22 a piece, and for $22 I would have been happy. But because I went there with a friend and he charged us per tent, it was $44, and that really annoyed me. That he would charge per tent, and I'm not that cheap that the money bothers me. It was the fact I don't like people who chisel you, and I felt like he was a chiseler. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just misread the situation, but yeah, it annoyed me. I didn't care for that. So I think that's about it so far. I've been having a really nice ride. I didn't take many videos yesterday. Most of what I uploaded was from the first day. Yesterday was rough. I was a bit sore. There was quite a bit more city and traffic riding than I thought I had planned for. But mostly it was to get to Route 414 here in Pennsylvania. That was one that we rode in June and wanted to go back to. And heading south, the road's not that impressive as it was heading north. The views were a lot nicer going north. And then having done the road once already, it always seems like the roads that you've already done are shorter the second time you do them. The first time we did it, it felt like forever, but this time it was over pretty quick. But it was still a nice road. It was still awesome. Oops, I said the A word. Bill's going to be upset. Yeah, but that's it. Having a great time. Hope you're enjoying videos. Wow, if you made it to the end of this one, I can't believe I babbled for 15 minutes. Ugh, sorry.